This year might actually be the best year to be a Chainsaw Man fan, with the anime coming soon and the long-awaited second part of the series coming as well. But while it's been about a year and a half since the manga ended, and part 2 was announced a couple of weeks before that, there hasn't actually been many information about it at all. With the release date scheduled for this summer, I think now is the best time to check out on the little information that we had, as well as look for the manga to try to predict exactly what we should expect going forward with Chainsaw Man. And we're going to start very basic and general with this. But the first thing we should expect is a brand new plot. What do I exactly mean with this? Well, while the ending of part 1 may seem very open-ended, the truth is pretty much every character has had their character arc or role fulfilled within part 1, and also they are dead. Part 1 was actually pretty close within their own plot, which means that part 2 is going to have a considerably different story, with a new major goal, major characters, factions, and villains. We should expect most of part 2 to be about new things that are introduced in that part, and that's both exciting and terrifying, because I think a lot of the things that people loved about Chainsaw Man part 1 are not going to be present in part 2, so there needs to be something else to fill that role. And we're going to get into what exactly in a bit, but the other, maybe obvious thing we should expect is more Kobeni. While most of the previous cast is not going to be in part 2, Kobeni is the one character that really needs to be. While she is a character that was introduced all the way back in chapter 10, she is currently the most mysterious character we have in the series, only getting a small hint of her past in the final moments of the series. Kobeni is the character that by all means should have died with all the others. Time and time again, she finds herself in dangerous situations that see her more capable co-workers killed. Knowing how easily Fujimoto discards characters after they fulfill their role, the fact that Kobeni is still alive makes me think that her major role in the story is still very much to come. Furthermore, we still don't know who's the devil she has a contract with, information that has been very consciously kept a secret by both Kobeni and Fujimoto, being probably one of the bigger reveals this manga still needs to offer. Another of the bigger reveals still have to come is one of the primal devils that may exist in this world, and I feel like that should be tied with the main goal of this new part. But to explain that, I want to tie this down with two other things that we should expect, probably at the tailgate of part 2. A new, longer visit to hell, and of course the Blood Devil. Probably the biggest goal that Denji was left with at the end of part 1 came from Power's last words: go find the Blood Devil. And while it would be nice to have a manga start with Denji jumping right away into that goal, I don't think that will be the case. Sure, I would also love for us to get the Blood Devil early and reach Power so that we can get back to their dynamic, but I believe that Blood Devil is more likely to be the main antagonist of this part. Simply put, Power as we know her is dead and she's not going to come back. Sure, Denji is supposed to make the Blood Devil Power again, and I believe he will do it eventually, but I don't think that Fujimoto is going to bring Power's memories due to the power of friendship or love or anything like that, and more so that her personality will be similar enough so that she can befriend Denji again. I think that's going to take a while though, and in the meantime the Blood Devil is definitely going to be some kind of antagonist. Personally, as I mentioned, I would like to think that she's going to be the main one, as I feel that'd be a nice arc for Denji to go through and a villain that would cause way more emotional weight than any other created just for this part. Anyways, we're probably going to be seeing Hell in later phases of this part. Not necessarily the final arc, but likely closer to it. Of course, Hell is where the Blood Devil is located, but that's far from being the only thing we want to see from Hell, and the main ones are the Primal Devils. We didn't get much information or got to see much of the Primal Devils in part 1, but the few moments that the Darkness Devil was on the manga was also some of the craziest parts in the entire thing, so it makes sense that this is the thing that most people are probably the most excited. And yes, I truly believe that Fujimoto doesn't give a single minuscule shit for what the fans want, but he set up the Primal Devils with very little payoff in part 1, so it's quite likely for part 2 to focus a lot more on some of them. I'm not sure if Fujimoto is going to care to set up and introduce all of them, or just keep them ambiguous, but I'm pretty sure we're going to face at least one or two Primal Devils in our journey. But that's what we should expect way down the line, so what should we expect at the start of the manga? Well, school. Out of the very few information we have for part 2 is that this is going to be a school arc, and I want to dissect exactly what that can mean, because I think the majority of this manga is going to be indeed tackling the school life of Denji way more than it probably will be tackling devils and fights. Denji's dream has always been to live a fulfilling life, and as we went through part 1, I think he mostly got that from the most normal moments in the manga. And that is what school may be able to give Denji, and it may be very well what Denji is going to have to learn how to deal with and learn how to defend with over the course of part 2. I don't expect Denji to like school right away, as it'll give him responsibilities that I don't think he'll necessarily enjoy. But this school is also likely to bring our next cast of characters. Just think about it, Power and Aki were not normal people, nor was anyone that Denji met. Even the ones that seemed normal at first end up not being. I'm looking at you, Rize. So this is the perfect chance for Denji to finally meet, interact and bond with characters that are not involved in shady business or related to devils. And since we mentioned Rize, that's the arc we got to see Denji interact with someone that at first didn't seem out of the ordinary, and that was also the arc where school was mentioned the most, the actual arc where someone told Denji that he should be doing the thing that he will be doing in this new part. So I think Rize's arc may happen again, but this time with people that are not going to betray Denji. I totally expect Denji to fall in love or befriend normal people that will be aggressively dispatched midway through, but Denji's arc needs to be finished, at least if this is the final part, which so far there's no reason to believe it won't. So I do believe that Denji is going to fall in love with someone normal, have a high school crush, and do all the things that he mentioned in the first chapter of the series and that Bushido forced Kobeni to do, but generally this time. At this point, Denji needs it. I also think this will be a bit closer to maybe early Spider-Man, in the sense that it will be about this high school kid with a different persona trying to help people, and in this case kill demons, while trying to protect the school and his friends with various degrees of success. Finally, the last thing we more or less know we're going to have is Nayuta and Denji in a more family relationship. In part 1, Makima could be seen as a motherly figure, but those roles are about to be completely reversed in part 2, as Nayuta will likely to have a role akin to a little sister or even daughter to Denji. The thing I'm more interested, however, is in seeing how much Nayuta resembles Makima. Of course, in the last chapter of part 1 we got a bunch of connections already. Nayuta seems to really like dogs, and there's also the finger thing. We still need to see if the personality is still the same, if the behavior is still the same, and if it is, how will Denji deal with that? But it's going to be in Nayuta that we'll be able to get more information of how much the next Blood Devil's Fiend will be like power, because the one thing we know already is that it's not going to be the same person, not even physically. As far as you know, they might not even be reborn as a woman at all. That said, I'm totally okay with a lot of this ending up being wrong, or not exactly as I say, mostly because this is Fujimoto, and he isn't the kind of person to deliver unpredictable stories. He loves to subvert us and surprise us and go on completely different ways from most manga, and that is the one thing you should expect out of part 2. Fujimoto has said that this part is likely to be completely different from the Chainsaw Man that we know, but at the end of the day, it's Fujimoto at its helm, and so far he hasn't disappointed me, so in Fujimoto I trust. If you want to see more analysis on Chainsaw Man, there's my other 2 videos on the topic on the screen right now for you to check out, and if you watched it till here, thank you very much, and I'll see you next video.